Okay. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Wellness Wednesday. Today, we will be talking about the benefits of CBD and Parkinson's. And just to introduce myself, my name is Kiana Hatfield, and I'm the program director here at the Parkinson Association of the Carolinas. And today, we have with us Deborah Muir from well, she's a physical therapist and she wears many hats, and I will allow her to talk to you about that today. And just a couple housekeeping things for you all. Today's session will be recorded, so you will have access to that on YouTube later this week. Also, we will have our Q&A session at the end of today's session. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to use our chat box function as a parking lot for all questions, and we will answer those during the Q&A portion. But without further ado, I would like to thank Deborah for being here today to talk to you all and transfer the talking over to her.
Hello, everyone. I am Deborah Muir. I'm a physical therapist by trade, and I also have a little passion for CBD in that sense. I've seen it be helpful in many cases, between orthopedic to Parkinson's to everything. So that's partly why I wanted to come here today and kind of give you guys a better understanding of what to look for when you're looking at CBD, as well as what is going to be out there in the stores, different places to buy it, things like that, and to make sure you're getting the best product that's available out there for you. So without further ado, we will get on to it. So my presentation is why CBD. Everyone's heard about CBD, so that's the next thing. But what we're looking at is CBD is a cannabinoid, and it's a part of the cannabis plant, okay? It is just a portion of a cannabis plant, and it's similar to what we find, like it's a leaf and a flower, and that's where they get the product from, okay? What we're looking at is that it can be used in so many ways. The other thing that's very big that most people don't realize, they don't teach you in medical school, they don't teach you in other medical professions, but we do have a cannabinoid system in our body. And like you see on the presentation, us females, when we have breast milk and that sort of thing, there actually is cannabinoids in that as well. So it can be found in plants and in humans and everything. But what we've been finding is that it's very helpful in the body. So there is a difference between hemp and marijuana. I know everybody's probably like, it's the same thing. They're the same species. So they are all cannabis sativa. And basically the difference between the two is how much THC is in it. And THC is what gives you the high, the psychedelic effects. But in order to do CBD, you have to be a certain level of THC in your products in order to be legal to grow and harvest in the US. And that's one of the biggest things. The other biggest thing that I've learned over the years is that hemp and marijuana plants are both used as soil cleanup plants. So when I say that, that means that a lot of other countries, when they do their crops, in order to clean the fields of toxins, metals, all those things, these plants are the best because they're scavenger plants. So they will suck all that up into their own plant to clean the soil. So that's one of the big things when I look at products is, where is this grown? And a lot of people, if you don't know where it's grown, you might be getting products that have other toxins and stuff we don't want in our bodies. So the main difference between marijuana and CBD in hemp is the amount of CBD. So if we were to if we look at this leaf, there would be just a little bit of CBD and a high THC quantity if we were in a marijuana plant. With a hemp plant, you have more CBD and less THC. So that's why we like it for that purpose. So in order to define hemp differently than the marijuana plant, we have to have a defined number. So the hemp plant, it should only contain 0.3% of THC. That's why you can have a lot of the products that don't have that psychedelic product and that psychedelic effect. There's 100 different varieties of CBD. They've been doing a lot more studies of everything and looking into different ones and how they help with different diagnoses. Some of the ones that are really good are CBDA and CBDG, because they're both kind of like a preliminary to the CBD plant product. When we look at marijuana, there's obviously a greater percentage of THC, and they can go as high up as 47%. So if you go into a local flower shop or CBD shop that you can find in North Carolina or South Carolina these days, what you're going to see in there is a lot of synthetic products. And when I say that is when you look at the flower buds or even some of the products, they're going to have a higher THC quantity because they're trying to go towards the people that are looking for more of the psychedelic effect. When you go to different other products, they will really look at that THC level because they do recognize that a lot of us don't want to have that psychedelic effect. We want the benefits of the CBD and not necessarily that high. But when you go to stores that sell flower, you're going to find products that have THC up to 47% in some of those products. But that's not what we're looking for when we're looking for CBD to help us with our medical issues. So like I said, we have an endocannabinoid system within our body. Here's a picture. There's 2 different receptors that we found so far, and they help people with pain, stress, sleep, appetite, motor control, and neurological functions. Daily CBD use actually boosts that system and can kind of balance out the body and kind of create like a homeostasis. So when we look at this body, when someone is off of their homeostasis, they might, if we look at these pictures, these dots, they could be like a Christmas tree. You know, if one dot's out, you know, the whole line doesn't work, or it's not as clearly delineated. So that's why when we think about CBD products, we want to use them daily in order to get that prolonged effect versus just that instantaneous effect. A lot of people might not see the results until like maybe a week into it is as well, because a lot of it's really minimal stuff. Like a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, I've gotten so much better sleep when I've been on my CBD products. But the instant they go off, they've lost that ability to keep that sleep. Or if they're inconsistent with it, it won't be as consistent for them in the future. All right, so here is a graph of kind of what THC and CBD can help with. Like in the yellow, you have a lot more of your neurological issues. You can see Parkinson's is there. And if you zoom in, Parkinson's has 4 different cannabinoids that can help it. Okay. One is CBC, CBD, CBG, and THC. So sometimes THC does help the system, but that's not what we're looking for as a greatly amount in our system when we're looking at this stuff. The other takeaway project from this is that this can help with a lot of different things. There's not just one thing that it helps with. So you may not notice it significantly, with maybe some of your neurological issues, but pain, sleep, stress, you know, there's a lot going on in our bodies. The other things that are coming out is also it can help with our gastrointestinal. I know there's a big kind of push with that microbiome and how good your gut is and how healthy your gut is. And CBD is actually a really good product for that as well. Here's just a closer look so you can see a little bit better of what kind of it helps. Obviously, there's a lot of things in there. Even go as far as, you know, you have Parkinson's, or maybe you've got some issues of stress with that, or anxiety because you don't want to go out and about, or anxiety because you're afraid of falls, things like that. This can help with those effects as well. It's not going to give you that high or you feel drunk or dizzy or anything like that. It's just going to kind of calm the system. So a couple different ones that I talked about. So CBDA is one of my favorites because it's an inflammatory pain relief, as well as it helps viruses, nausea, and vomiting. So that's a huge thing for a lot of people that have either gut health or Parkinson's or a variety of things. We're all kind of immune compromised a little bit. If we can take something that's going to help our bodies fight viruses, that might be helpful. CBDG, which is considered a minor one, they don't find it too much, but it actually can help with neurodegenerative inflammation, which a lot of symptoms from Parkinson's can be helped by that. So that's why I kind of wanted to focus on those 2. When when we look at buying products, you want to look at the quality of the product. So there's a lot of products out there that'll say that they're hydroponically grown. That's probably better than just randomly somewhere in the field. There's certain products that are certified organic, which it takes at least 5 years to become a certified organic farmer. So these have been absent of herbicides and pesticides for a long time. The other part is you're going to look at how they've produced this CBD. There's a lot of different ways to do it. One of the best ways is a carbon dioxide extraction. It preserves a lot of the cannabinoids better than when they do solvents, which can kind of ruin some of the product. The other part is what parts of the plants are they using? When we look at a hemp plant, there's the flower and then there's all the leaves. And what we want is we really want the flower portion of the plant, because that's where it has most of the CBD. A lot of products out there might have more of the stems or leaves just to kind of suck out whatever they can get out of that plant. But there are other companies that really focus on it being a specific to just the flower. Okay. The other thing that you always want to look at is if someone does a certificate of analysis. And this is a good way for you to see how strong your product is, as well as the purity in it. So when you look at different products, you might have, it will lay out and it'll have, where it was grown, the company, the lot, everything to the T. And it might even say what other entities are in it. Maybe it might be metal or a pesticide or something like that. And if it's high enough, that's obviously showing to you that it wasn't grown well. And it might be getting that from the environment. The other half of that is what is your vehicle of that CBD. So we've talked about flower, so you can smoke it, you can do all the things like that, but you also can have edibles or even like a tincture. Most tinctures, what you want to look at is what are they delivering it in? What's the oil they're putting it in? So a lot of companies may not use coconut oil, which is deemed the best to hold the CBD molecules, as well as its ability to help it absorb into our system. So that's another thing to look at. So these are all kind of things that you want to open your eyes to as you're looking at the possibility of adding hemp products to your routine. The other thing that you always want to do, and I will always stress this, is check with your doctor. A lot of doctors may not know what companies are good. They might not know different reactions. And so I always also subsidize that and maybe even talk to your pharmacist about it, because they know a little bit more about the drugs that you're on and anything like that. But for the most part, I haven't seen anybody that a doctor has said, no, don't do it. So that might be something to look at and talk to them about and see if it's in your cards to kind of take that. So what type of products? I've gone over a little bit of this. There's lots of different things. Each product is going to be different. So when you look at a bottle, it might say that it is 500 milligrams of CBD. When you're looking at that bottle, most companies are actually telling you how much the whole bottle has versus what a dosage would have. And I think a lot of us read that poorly. And we might think that each dropper is going to have 500 milligrams of CBD, which is incorrect. Most products that you want to have are probably between 5 and 25 milligrams of CBD when you do it with a tincture or an edible. There's also creams. They make a lot of pain creams with CBD products in it. All of them can be very helpful. I consider more of the topical stuff as being more instantaneous satisfaction versus some of the tinctures and the jellies, in the sense that it's going to be a more instant help versus kind of a long distance helper. Other things that you can try, there's oils for body, there's collagen powders. I know that's been a big one. There's a lot of companies that are putting CBG, which is the one that's a really good one for nerve and inflammation, is in putting in collagen powders, which is also really good for our body. There could be bath fizzes and that sort of thing that might be helpful as you as well, depending on how mobile you are for baths. What can it help? So we've kind of gone over this a little bit, but number one, it's going to help with anxious feelings. So if you're a person that going into an environment, maybe even going to the doctor's office or things like that, give you a little bit of anxious feelings, this might be able to help that out and kind of calm you down just a tad. One of the biggest things I've noticed personally when I've been taking it is the sleep factor. I could literally sleep significantly better if I've taken my CBD that day versus if I have not. And sometimes I will take an extra dose at night just to help me fall asleep a little bit better and stay asleep. The other thing that I've noticed in just personal issues is I have knee pain, and my pain has been significantly less since I've been on CBD. And that also goes with achy joints and that sort of thing. But there's lots of different products out there. There's lots of different things that a certain CBD might be better at. Like I said, CBDG is really good for our gut health and that sort of thing. So that might help out with anybody that's got like leaky gut or a poor microbiome in their body. All right, so getting on to the Parkinson's. So it's first noted that CBD has been helpful with tremors since 1888. And then you kind of wonder why we didn't do it at all or why we got rid of it. And it wasn't until they did their first clinical study in 1986 and they looked at specific movement disorders and they looked at giving 100 to 600 milligrams a day, which is significant. And they did see some improvements. The Michael J. Fox Foundation has found that more than half of its people that they've interviewed and surveyed is using some sort of cannabis to help with mood, sleep, and pain. But there's also new discussions with, like I said, the gut biome, which is that microbiome in our health, like for gut health. If anybody's got leaky gut or had someone told them that, it's supposed to be very helpful with the progression of Parkinson's. I've also been reading a lot of that is our gut health is the number one indicator of how our body's going to do well with chronic diseases like diabetes and other things like that that might be a comorbidity that you guys might have. Here's a couple more studies. One of the big ones that I really think is truly key for Parkinson's is that they found that it activates a G protein receptor, which helps with dopamine. Now, you guys all know that dopamine is what you tend to lose with Parkinson's. And so this is a dopaminergic producing. So it helps the neurons produce and be able to have more dopamine in your body. So this is like a huge thing for you guys that this might be very helpful. As you guys know, Parkinson's is because we've lost 60 to 80% of the dopamine producing neurons. And if this is a way to help that increase or stabilize or things like that, I think this is going to be a huge benefit for people with Parkinson's. The other half of that is a lot of the things that CBD also helps with classics Parkinson's issues, like tremors of the hands and arms, jaws, legs, rigidity and stiffness, slowness and movement, and all of our impaired balance and stuff can be helped by CBD a little bit, just by having the increase in dopamine producing neurons. Here's, so this is a lady that has Parkinson's and she's, let me pause this one. And you can see how shaky she is in this first video.
Yeah.
Okay. I think she does grab something in a second.
I can grab that little yellow.
And see, one of the biggest things is hard to control your hand and movement and that sort of thing. So if we pause that one, and we go to this one.
When did you start taking CBD oil?
Several months ago.
How long's it been since you used your brain implant?
I started using the oil.
Okay. And did the brain implant help your tremors?
Not one little bit. 3 brain surgeries and they didn't have it all.
And how many surgeries to replace batteries?
I lost count, probably 6, 7.
All right, hold your hands out. Hold your other hand out. Where's your trimmers?
Gone.
Go on.
I still have them. They're still in thalamus. It's still in here, but they're 100% under control.
Yep.
I could,
So obviously everybody's going to have different reactions to all this stuff. But I just wanted to have you guys have like a visual kind of see how someone does react to something with CBD in it. Other things that we can kind of go over if you guys have questions on is how to dose it or how to do those things. Dosing can be very crucial to this. If you just go by, I'm just going to have one gummy a day and that's going to do what does it for me, that's not always the best interest for everybody. So we kind of have to find where your happy medium is in the sense of say, say we try you on just a vial or a droplet of a tincture and see how you do with that. We try it for 2 to 3 days. It's like anything adding into any of your normal stuff. You don't want to add too much. You don't want to go too little. You want to see what the balance is for you. So a lot of times your dosing of something like this might be varied to see what you respond better to. Similar to like if you're on like a gabapentin or a Lyrica, those are things that they're going to change as you progress. You might need less, you might need more. So there's lots of different things. A lot of times with CBD, people take too much and they get not the benefits that they're looking for. They get more of that kind of just super relaxed mode and not necessarily psychedelic, but just relaxed, like to the point that they're just there. And that's too much. There is a happy medium with all that. So if there's any questions, I can answer.
And at this time, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves. No need to use the chat box.
I got a question. Does it help with dystonia?
It possibly can. I did not see anything specific to that as in a research study or anything like that, but I definitely think it could. And it wouldn't hurt to try, is what I always say. This is something that if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. If it works for you, that's good. I usually tell people to try it for at least a week or two and kind of take good notes of what they see a benefit from, because maybe you get more sleep and the dystonia gets is not as bad, or maybe you get more sleep because now your body can rest a little bit more and there might be more recovery. You won't have the tremors as much. There's a lot of different factors to all these different symptoms that it may take a while for you to actually notice something's different.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have another question?
I have one. Have you heard of what they call D9? That's something that my person at the store recommended.
Mm-hmm. So Delta 9 is just another variant off of CBD. There's some of the ones that they've kind of come to so Delta 8 and Delta 9. Delta 8 is not my favorite. People have a lot of weird side effects with that one. I've noticed. Delta 9 people do better with. But you're gonna get a little bit more THC with some of those products versus a different company. And that, so you'll have more of the psychedelic, more of the really chill. Like I always used to tell people if a lot of the products will either say they're indica or they're sativa. And if they're indica, you're going to be in the couch is a good way to put it. And then if it's a sativa, it's more of a little bit of an upper where you have a little bit more energy and focus. And then there's also mixed products too.
One day I wanted some chocolate and I accidentally ate some of the chocolate. I couldn't figure out why I was so hungry and felt so happy.
But yeah, so like I said, there's lots of different products out there. There's a CBD store popping up on every corner in most towns.
Yes.
And I think one of my biggest things for why I really wanted to present to you guys is just to know and learn about how to ask if the product's good for you. It may be good as in it gives you a nice little high, but does it give you what you're looking for? And I think that gets lost in translation a little bit with some of our CBD stores, because they're more there to gear towards the people that want to have more of the marijuana high.
Thank you. We really appreciate that.
No problem. But the biggest thing is, look at your products. Where are they made? Where are they sourced? What their third-party lab results are, that's a huge one. And that's just a disclaimer for anything that we're getting. You want to make sure you're getting a quality product versus paying for something that might have some toxins in it that you don't want.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Do we have another question? Oh, see something in the chat box. Patty says, thank you to our speaker. This information was very valuable.
You're welcome. I'm here to help. That's part of the reason why I like to talk to you guys and kind of help you guys along the path. There's not always just one answer of how things can get better or how things can improve. And I like to make sure you guys are at least informative what you're getting, what you're looking at, and that sort of thing. So you're not making a mistake or getting something that's not going to be good for you.
Excuse me.
Yes.
My husband Mike has one more question. We were
Yes.
muted.
We got here late, and I was just wondering what you talked about sleep. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yes. So CBD has a lot of benefits for helping with sleep. So a lot of people that I've talked to that do this, I've noticed it myself. CBD helps the body kind of relax and get in a calm state, and it can help a lot with sleeping. A lot of people that get on CBD will tell you that I didn't know I was lacking sleep, but I sleep so much better now. So it may not be something you notice right away. It may be 2 days down the road, you're like, man, I'm a lot more refreshed when I wake up, or, I've got more energy throughout the day. So it can be helpful. The other things to look at, and I forgot to mention this, is there's also broad spectrum versus full spectrum. Broad spectrum means that it is mostly CBD and there's only a 0.3% of THC. Full spectrum might mean that there's a little bit more CBD product or THC product in it. Some of the differences between those is a broad spectrum might only last maybe 6 hours, and a full spectrum might last a whole 12 hours in your system. So that's another thing to add to your kind of list of what you're looking at when you're looking at your products.
The other thing I wanted to ask, I didn't hear, do you normally recommend that you talk to your provider for this?
I at least ask questions to him and ask him if he feels it's okay. Most doctors are starting to learn about this a little bit more. And the problem with the way our current system is set up is a lot of times some of the alternative medicines aren't really taught a ton in school. And so they might not know as much about it. The only reason I tell you guys to always talk with them is I don't want it to ever be any situation that it acts poorly with your current medication.
Right.
This should just be something that's a supplement that helps you versus I don't want it to be deterrent of anything.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But I haven't seen a doctor say no. So that's something to think about too.
All right.
I got one more question. I still work, and I work in a place where I could possibly get drug tested.
Yes.
What's a good way to go with that? I know there's some that are better for drug testing, or
So you want to stay with a broad spectrum. The broad spectrum products have less THC than the other products. And I would say most employers, except for maybe federal these days, have raised their limitations on how much THC you can have in your system. I know a lot of the hospital systems have raised it recently and that sort of thing because CBD is legal in most states now. So they're realizing that they might have people that might have taken it and it's legal to buy on the street. So why could you not try it is the thing too. But I would say stick with broad spectrum if you're worried about any drug testing or anything like that.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, do we have another question?
And there may even be products that might have even less than what I've seen with THC, and that might be better for people that have drug testing. That's another reason why you need to look at what the breakdown is.
Does it affect driving?
It does not. Well,
Okay.
let me rephrase that. The stuff that doesn't have the THC does not affect your driving. If you have something that has a higher THC quantity, yes, it is going to affect your driving.
So it's better to stick with the broad spectrum?
Yeah, for daytime use, I
Okay.
think that's better. Some full spectrums, as long as it has a low THC, will be
Mhm.
fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's more of the ones that are trying to mimic the marijuana products. Some of the D9s and D8s are going to be more that are going to have more THC that are going to be maybe not the best to drive on.
Okay, good to know.
But there's a lot of products out there. I think we're all getting inundated with it too. And that's why I want you guys to know what products are best, what to look for too, so you don't get in a bad situation.
Thank you. Do we have another question?
Uh,
No? Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, I want to let you all know that this session will be recorded and available for later view on Friday. And so that being said, if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you with Deborah here. But hopefully you all were able to learn something from today's presentation and get some good takeaways. And thank you all for joining us. And I will let you get back to the rest of your Wednesday.
Yeah, enjoy.
Yes. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
what time do we get there, honey?